Here's a 2-chord pairing from Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. Welcome to a magical episode of
Keith Horn's Chord of the Week.
John Williams is a true wizard, and the scores for the first 3 Harry Potter films are classic, masterful works of musical storytelling.
So good! So good! So good!
Of course, he's best known for his grand, sweeping, memorable themes, which I love, but it's the smaller moments in his scores, like this one, that also capture my attention and want me to dig deeper into his craft.
I can dig it.
The scene in the first film, where Harry is learning the rules of Quidditch, has a clever little 2-chord moment. Here's that clip again.
You better take this.
And here are the chords. It's an E major in second inversion to a C7 in third inversion and back. Now you could also look at it like this, where the C is here instead of here. And that illustrates the common tone between the E major and the C7, which is this E. This highlights mediant movement, or movement from one chord to another by thirds. E to C, right? The roots are a major third apart from each other. But with voice leading, and in this case we also add a 7th to the second chord, that's a mediant relationship between the 2 chords.
Is it not a real relationship?
And it's an important thing to note about mediant movement in general. Whenever you have 2 chords that have a mediant relationship, a third relationship, meaning if you're moving from one chord to another, a third away, up or down, either a major third or a minor third, and you keep the same chord quality. I know that's a mouthful, but if you can understand that, the relationship between those 2 chords, there's always a single common tone. Let me demonstrate it. Say C to E flat, right? The difference of a minor third in root movement, right? With voice leading, if you use inversions, the G is common, right? And if we go from C up to E with voice leading, the E is common between them, right? That's what we have here. C, E, C. If we go the other way, if we descend from C to A, notice these are all major triads. We share a common E right there, from C to A, back to C. And now C to A flat, which is the root movement of a major third down. With voice leading, C to A flat to C, they share the C as a common tone. So, having said all of that, if you take any major triad and you move up or down, either a minor third or a major third, to another major triad, you will always have a single common tone, and it's important to note here. This E, even though it's actually this, that's what's in the score. But to illustrate what it's doing, the concept, E to C7, sharing the common tone of an E to here.
So, we have so much in common.
And it's those common tones that make mediant movement so pleasing to the ear. The ear just accepts it as if it would accept any voice leading. Right? Move to a chord a third away, or all those movements are pleasing to the ear because there's smooth voice leading between all of them. And this type of harmonic movement, this mediant third relationship, is a hallmark of cinematic composing. This is an important moment in the story because the cue enters as soon as Harry gets his hands on the beater. And Quidditch ends up becoming a really important part of Harry finding his place in this new world at Hogwarts, because this is his first year. It's also a big part of his coming of age, the coming of age part of his story arc. And as composers, as film composers, as media composers, it's really important for us to remember that this music does exist in a context. And here, emotionally, this gives us kind of like It's like a mildly majestic or sort of regal, understated regal thing, right? It anticipates the action that's to come in this scene, and it also tells the viewer that there's some gravity to this moment, that it's very stately. This is important.
This means something.
So let's take these two chords through some exercises. All right, the low-hanging fruit here with exercises is to take this through the authentic cycle like this. A, D, G, C, and so on. I mean, that's not low-hanging fruit. That's just, for me, the obvious first thing to practice. But starting to apply it toward functional harmony after that makes it a little more interesting. So another exercise is we could take this second chord and use it functionally. If this is C7, it would resolve to F, just like that. But because we have this G in the second chord, watch this. We keep it, and now it resolves to an F add 9 in first inversion, which is one of my favorite voicings. So watch that again. E, we're going to modulate to F, and then I'll walk it up. And now we can do the whole thing up a half step again. So let's keep going. From F, modulate to F sharp, add 9. And let's walk it up. F sharp. Now we're in G. Let's walk it up. And we'll modulate to A flat by way of E flat 7. So play around with that one too. That's actually one of my favorite exercises. And finally, we can resolve this in like a double mediant kind of way. E to C7 to A. So in this case, every other chord is following the authentic cycle. E to A to D to G and so on. So instead of doing this, and then from A, and then from D, and from G, we could use voice leading. I need to take it up an octave here. Use voice leading and it looks like this. From E to A, and then F7 to D, right? Follow me?
Not really.
And then from D, B flat 7 to G, E flat 7 to C, A flat 7, F, D flat 7, B flat. What's next? B flat to G flat 7 to E flat to B7 to A flat. So I'm following the circle of fifths with every other chord, but I'm using this mediant movement in between. And these are the kind of ideas that I like to play around with. When you just take this one little thing, or actually out of context of a popular score, popular film, play around with it until it starts to become yours. Now you have some original ideas.
This is important.
I think it was Albus Dumbledore that said, "Chords are, in my not-so-humble opinion, our most inexhaustible source of magic, capable of both inflicting injury and remedying it." At least I think he said chords. Happy practicing.
Yeah. Who this? This beat. Yo, who this? Yo, who this? Who this?